Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your host Kim
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage,
Pull up a comfy chair,
because we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 87 of A Double and Dice, and today we're going to talk Gen Con and Meta Talk. I don't know how you named it all.
That sounds very
boring. That's not boring. That's a boring name.
Well, you could change the name of the episode.
No,
I was just making notes.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it is.
You said it with such forcefulness and you like such
I know,
speed,
right?
like you wanted to get it over with. Gen Con and Meta Talk. This has been Dice Double. Anyway, I can't. I can't even talk.
I didn't say that part quick.
You totally did.
All right, so we're going to be talking about Gen Con, which I think we touched on last episode. What's going to be going on with that? And then we're going to start talking some meta talking what we may see at Worlds.
That's right.
What the new set has dropped.
That is true. Those are all the things we're going to talk about today. So, let's start, Kim, by sharing the news that we did touch on it very briefly in our last episode. And we are pre-recording this episode a little earlier than we normally would because I've got some work travel coming up. So by the time this episode comes out, some of the things we're talking about may have cleared up by then. But just as a disclaimer. So we do know that Dice Masters Worlds are not going to be in Memphis this year in September.
Correct.
Which is kind of sad because Memphis is always a really good time. And I know there were some folks that were really kind of hoping that they could make it out this year to Memphis. And Dice Masters, WizKids has announced that Dice Masters is going to hold their worlds at Gen Con. So Gen Con happens in Indianapolis, Indiana on August 3rd through 6th I already said that, Indianapolis, Indiana. And it is... the second largest gaming convention in the world, with the first being Essenspiel in Germany, and then Gen Con. So that is what we know. We know that Dice Masters Worlds will be taking place at Gen Con.
And no nationals, correct?
Nothing has been announced about any nationals events at the time of this recording. So, what don't we know, Kim?
We don't know any details.
That's right. We don't know any details. Aside from the one line in the HeroClix and Onslaught article that said Dice Masters Worlds will be held at Gen Con for 2023. That's literally all we know at the time of this recording. We don't know if Worlds will be open like it has been for the past couple of years where anyone who shows up can register and play, or if you'll have to qualify to play in Worlds. We don't know that yet. We don't know which day or what time Worlds is going to be held during Gen Con. Gen Con is in the process right now of getting ready to launch their event catalog. And they've been in the process of adding events like every single day, which I've been watching. And through some through some HeroClix intel from a group that I wasn't a part of, but through conversations with other HeroClix people that I know, I was able to join a specific HeroClix group where Scott, who's the HeroClix guy, so he's like, Jimmy's like the Dice Masters guy, but Jimmy would say he's not just the Dice Masters guy because he's also a HeroClix guy and he does all kinds of other stuff. But to us, Jimmy is the Dice Masters guy, right? Jimmy O'Brien.
Yep.
Scott D'Agostino, I probably pronounced that wrong, is the HeroClix guy. So he's the guy that goes on the HeroClix groups and comments about HeroClix stuff, just like Jimmy does that on Facebook for Dice Masters. And Scott posted something recently, like in the last couple of days when this episode was recorded, about what their plans were for Gen Con and that they've submitted all of their events to Gen Con and they're waiting for Gen Con to approve them. And they can't put out an article and an announcement until such time as Gen Con approves them, in case they say, this is what we're doing. And Gen Con says, no, you can't do that. You have to do this. So they're waiting for Gen Con to approve their events. Gen Con has 15,000 events in the catalog right now.
Oh my gosh.
And there's more coming. So I get it. Gen Con's a little backlogged. But I think... And I have absolutely no insider knowledge aside from this like secret HeroClix group that's not really secret and what people are publicly posting in places. I'm pretty sure that if you want to play Dice Masters at Gen Con, if you buy a badge for Gen Con and you show up to Gen Con, you can probably play Dice Masters at Gen Con.
Without paying an extra fee?
So I don't know about that. So most of the events at Gen Con have some sort of fee. When we did drafts last year, the draft was $10. We didn't have a competitive event for Dice Masters there last year. It was all drafts. And then there was a couple of modern events. And I think they were like $10 to enter. But basically everything at Gen Con has a cost. It's $2, it's $4, it's $10. So you buy your badge, which gets you entrance into the con. And then you get your events based on what you want. And then if you don't get the events in advance, you can get what they call generic tickets. And this is a whole Gen Con thing now. So you get generic tickets and you can spend the generic tickets. They come in $2 increments and you can take them to whatever event you want to play in and hand them over. And if they've got space, they'll put you in. So I don't
have
think
to sign up though, right? Like you have to sign up for an event.
You have to sign up for an event.
Room. Yeah.
So, and if the event sign up is not full, you can show up to the event, and if there's room, you just give them the generics and you're good to go. So I feel reasonably confident that if you want to play Dice Masters at Gen Con and you show up to Gen Con with some money in your pocket to buy generics or a credit card to tap to buy generics, you're going to be able to play Dice Masters. Also, again, we know nothing else aside from the fact that they said Dice Masters Worlds will be there, but I would also assume there's going to be drafts.
Probably. Like the side events.
The drafts were the most popular thing last year.
I hope they'll do like learn to play as well with the origin packs, right? Get the crowd
That would be amazing. I hope that they do that. And again, by the time this episode comes out, all of this information may be moot because maybe the schedule has been released. But this is where we are today.
When did they usually release it? Do you know?
Well, last year, the Gen Con schedule was released on May 12th.
Oh, so they're late.
This year, it is past May 12th, and we still don't have the information. But again, we will wait for Gen Con to approve the events, and an announcement will come out, and then we'll figure it out from there. But if you're interested in going to Gen Con, you can buy a badge. You can find yourself a hotel or an Airbnb or a Vrbo or whatever other options are out there.
What the heck is a Vrbo?
It's like an Airbnb, but a different company.
Okay.
VRBO. I don't know if they have that in the States, but I've seen it in Canada.
Okay.
Anyway, you'll find somewhere to stay and you'll go play games. And Gen Con is a lot of fun. If you heard our Gen Con episode from last year, some number, I don't remember, the Gen Con episode, I took a lot of audio while we were there in person, chatted with a lot of folks. We talked about Dice Master. We talked about other stuff that people were doing. I just said there's like 15,000 events. There is something for everybody. So
board games,
RPGs, learn to plays, exclusive releases, try something out before it launches. Like there's all kinds of things you can do. There's shopping, there's seminars, you name it. Apparently there's concerts. I had no idea. There's like concerts and movie nights and
oh really?
Yeah,
like and during the day?
Yeah, and some of this stuff goes like 24 hours.
Oh,
so
really?
like you can like sign up for like an RPG that starts at 11 p.m.
Wow, no sleep for you.
I'm not doing that.
No,
but you can if you want. It's available. So we know that Dice Masters Worlds will be at Gen Con. That is what we know.
Yep, that is a fact.
It is a fact.
That is the truth. That is the way.
So, in addition to that. The other thing that we don't know, Kim, is if there's going to be any bans.
Mm-hmm.
Because before Memphis, WizKids released an article that said that Master Mold Endless Sentinels was being watchlisted. And then we went to Memphis. Well, I went to Memphis with a bunch of other people. And in both the Nationals and the Worlds event, which were back-to-back, the top 7 of 8 teams at Memphis were Master Mold teams. And they were all quite similar. And like we talked about with Andy a couple episodes ago, we talked about how there's like 7 cards on your team that are, or whatever, plus the basic actions or whatever to support Master Mold, and you have like a flex spot. And you have to go all in on that strategy. But Master Mold dominates. And we talked a few episodes before that about the draft that we did at our local store with Dark Phoenix before Secret Wars launched. Kim, you remember that? When I drafted the Master Mold?
Right, yes.
Yeah, so Master Mold in Constructed is like amazing. It's like super broken. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's broken. Master Mold in Draft is still broken. Like
it doesn't need anything. That's
it needed a prep global, and I managed to draft a prep global. So I had Master Mold and a prep global. It wasn't wasn't Mr. Sinister. I think I just had Wolverine. But I had Master Mold and I had Wolverine, and that was all I needed.
Yeah.
And it was kind of gross. Like, I felt bad.
Well, if you want to win, then,
Sure, but
you're going to play Master Mold.
But if they ban it, let's speculate. I would like to see it banned.
Well, it's on the watch list, right? So
it's on the watch list from last August. It's May. They haven't done anything about it yet. However, we haven't had any official events. So maybe they'll ban it. I think, personally, for the health of the game, I'd like to see a couple of bans. And I don't know how you feel about this, Kim, because we haven't talked about it. But Master Mold for sure is broken. It's overpowered. In my opinion, it needs to be banned. And I think you're probably on the same page, Kim.
Yes. I don't think okay, so here's my thing on it. I don't know if, even though they put it on the watch list, they have nothing to go by.
They have nationals and worlds.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But now with Secret Wars, I don't know if they'll ban it. But, okay.
Okay.
That's true. They do have that, right? Because it did play there, so they know.
They know because it was over half of the field in both of the events.
And was it on the watch list after that or before that?
So it was put on the watch list before that, and then they were waiting for some data, which I would assume they got from those events. And then they haven't said anything yet, but also there hasn't been any events to prepare for, any official events. So there is a part of me that hopes that Master Mold will get banned.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have a couple of other requests.
That's not on their watch list.
Yet. So hear me out, okay? And don't at me about this. Actually, at me about this because I want to hear what people say. But
join our Discord and conversation when this episode drops.
I think that the rare Sinister Global from Dark Phoenix Saga needs to be banned.
Which reads, pay 2 generic.
And that's the problem.
Is you feel the psychic and prep a psychic from your use pile.
That's right. And the problem with that global is it is 2 generic, which means 2 of any type of energy. It doesn't matter what you roll. And it's not limited. It's not limited to once per turn. If it was once per turn, I'd be okay with it. If it was 2 different energy types, like Atlantis used to be, and prior to that, Star Labs, right? Because it's the same idea: field a psychic, prep a sidekick, but it used to be 2 different energy. The fact that they went to 2 generic energy has made it extraordinarily OP, and by OP I mean overpowered, not organized play. Extraordinarily overpowered, and there's so many things that roll your dice out, spin your dice out, that energy ends up back in your reserve pool, and you can just feel the psychic, prep a sidekick as many times as you have energy for on your turn, you're on your opponent's turn. It's just a little bit too overpowered, and it puts everything on steroids. Every high-powered card, every 6 cost, every 7 cost, even every 5 cost, it's so easy to get when you have that. And it's so easy to completely miss your bag. It's easy to bag burn. I don't think it's good for the health of the game. And people are probably going to disagree with me. And that's fine, because this is my opinion.
Yes, you're entitled to it.
What do you think, Kim?
Well, I actually never really played with it that much, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really faze me, to be honest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really always put it on my team. And even if the opponent has it on their team, I hardly even use it because I never keep energy back. And if I'm keeping energy back, usually it's like once. I don't have enough to do it anyways.
It's definitely a very competitive strategy. Like, we talked about this when we talked about Memphis. We talked about how prevalent Rare Sinister was, and we talked about how prevalent prepping was. Like, most teams had Villainous Pact, which was pay a mask, prep a die from your bag. Wolverine, which is pay a fist, prep a die from your bag. Those are both once per turn on your turn, and Villainous Pact is only if your prep area is empty, so you have to do that first. So you're like, I had never played in a tournament where first turn people were just prepping 1 or 2 dice depending on if they went first or second, and then on the second turn Sinister Globling, so that a sidekick in their field and a 2 sidekicks in their prep area, and they were rolling 6 dice and buying a 6 cost or a 7 cost on turn 2. Like, I've never played like that before. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So,
so I don't build it in my strategy, so I don't really care for it. Like, I don't build it to use it. But then again, I didn't play in like the last competition, right? So maybe it would have been different. Would I put it on my team? Probably not. Because, you know me, I don't know how competitive I would have went. Maybe I would have played Master Mold. I don't know. But I probably would have picked Barry over Master Mold.
There's also the because it's so prevalent, like, you don't necessarily have to put it on your team. Your opponent might have it. And because it's not limited to once per turn, it doesn't matter if you both have it. You can do it as many times as you can pay for it. So I think there's a couple of ways that they could make that global super effective without it being overpowered. And I think there's 2 different ways they could do that. And I'm not here to change the card. That's not my job. But I am saying that I think that in its current state, it needs to be banned. So,
but you think that goes along with Master Mold, right? So technically, if they if they ban Master Mold, then there's not necessarily really need to ban Sinister.
Well, I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because, yes, it puts Master Mold on steroids, but it also puts every other expensive big bad on steroids.
True.
It puts Thor on steroids. It puts Barry Allen on steroids. It puts anything that's coming. That's a 6 cost, a 5 cost, a 7 cost. Makes it so much easier for you to get to. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be able to get to your win condition easily, but I do think that it's perhaps moving too fast for the health of the game. Because it's never fun when you're sitting across from someone, and this is as a player and as the opponent, in my opinion. It's never fun when you sit across from someone and you win on turn 3 or turn 4. And the game's only 5 minutes long. And then you're sitting there waiting for the other people for another 30 minutes because they're still playing their game.
Yeah.
And it happens, and it can happen with any game, right? Like, we've talked about my Thor team, Thor Yorgum Sphere, that I was playing last year. And through sheer luck, through being able to field Thor on turn 3 and then field 5 sidekicks and do 10 damage to your opponent, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yeah. And then them not having anything in the field and then pushing just through for 10 damage and winning just like that. Like, it's happened to me a couple of times. It's not a fun place to be in as a player. Like, sure, I won. Okay. It wasn't fun. My opponent didn't even have a chance to defend themselves. Wasn't fun for me, wasn't fun for them. So I think that making it just a smidgen less fast is better for the health of the game. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear what other people think. The next one that I would like to change,
ban,
is again, I think this is going to be very controversial, and this is just, again, this is my opinion, but I think that they need to ban the Dark Phoenix Global.
That's what we should name the episode. Don't at me.
Don't at me. I want people to at me, though. I want to hear their thoughts. So, again, the problem, in my opinion, with the Dark Phoenix Global is you pay a bolt to KO a die, and the next die you purchase costs 2 less. And that's amazing. But it's not limited. You can do it as many times as you can pay for it. You can do it on your opponent's turn. You can't buy anything on your opponent's turn, but you can still KO your dice. The reprint of that global that has come in the form of Secret Wars on Apocalypse, and I think it's just on 2 rarities. Does that make sense, Kim? Just on one.
For
just on the super
Dark
rare?
Phoenix? Yeah, it's on the. Yeah. I think it's only on 2.
It's only on the super rare, actually. So what they did to that global is they made it once per turn. And that, I think, is perfect.
Oh, for the Apocalypse,
yeah. So the Apocalypse global reads almost identical to the Dark Phoenix global, except it says pay a bolt once per turn. KO one of your character dice, and the next die you purchase this turn costs 2 less to a minimum of 1. Whereas Dark Phoenix just says pay a bolt and KO one of your character dice. The next die you purchase this turn costs 2 less, but it's not limited to once per turn.
Yeah.
So again, Rare Sinister makes it extra easy to use Dark Phoenix because you fielded a sidekick, you've prepped a sidekick, you have an extra sidekick in your prep, you pay a bolt, the sidekick's already there, you didn't have to roll it. You know, it's there, you KO it, you KO another sidekick, you make things super cheap, you're getting to your win condition super fast, and then, you know, sometimes you're just running over your opponent. And that's just, in my opinion, I don't think it's good for the health of the game. So I know that everyone's going to disagree with me on that one.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, yeah, I get it. Everything is cheap when it comes to that.
But I think once per turn is a good compromise.
Yeah.
I think the part about Apocalypse that is less helpful is that it's only on the rare. Or sorry, the super rare.
Super rare, yeah.
So it's limited, sort of like it was back in, what was it, Yu-Gi-Oh?
Blue Eyes Dragon.
Yeah, Blue Eyes
It was only on the rare.
Yeah, so it only existed on one rarity of the card,
yeah,
which made it harder to come by. But again, it's a global, so if you bring it, your opponent can use it. If it's once per turn, it just feels a little bit more balanced. So
I'm actually gonna remember if does Blue Eyes say once per turn or not. I'm looking it up.
It does not.
No.
Well,
I can't seem to find it because I can't find. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, the Dark Phoenix Global was an exact reprint.
Yeah, except this one says monsters, but
yeah, but that's just Yu-Gi-Oh language.
Yeah.
So, if I had my way, I would like to see those 3 cards banned going into Gen Con. I was going to say going into Memphis, and then a little tear dropped down my face. Going into Gen Con. Those are the things I'd like to see banned. Because I think that it will give more opportunity for other cards that are just really good, but just aren't broken, to have their day. What about you? Is there anything you want to see banned, Kim?
Thor. I hate that card.
Okay, let's talk about Thor.
I hate that card so much.
Do you want to read it, or you want me to read it?
I don't know if I have it up. Sure, I'll read it.
Okay.
Thor, Juggernaut. I don't know his name.
Jormungandr.
There you go. Thor Yggdrasil.
Close enough.
Yeah. I hate it so much. I don't even want to pronounce it. Fear. So it's a 6 cost. It's a super rare. It's while Thor is active. When you field a character die, deal 2 damage to target character die or player. And it has the global. Once per turn, pay a bolt. The next action die you purchase costs 2 less.
See, once per turn. Why is it so hard for WizKids to put that on Dark Phoenix?
Once per turn.
Once per turn.
So, yeah. My only problem with this card.
Yes.
It is quick because there's so many ways you can feel things.
That's right.
Not even on your turn, on your opponent's turn. And it's dealing a 2 damage to a player.
To target character die or player.
Yeah. Target character die, I'm okay with.
Mm-hmm.
It's when it's the player, right? Because everybody's going to choose the player.
Sometimes.
And if you have a great roll and you're rolling a whole bunch of stuff and it counts sidekicks. If it didn't count sidekicks, then maybe it would have been all right. But it counts sidekicks, then that's a lot if you do 5 in a turn.
Sidekicks are character dice.
Yeah. So every time I played against this, I've always been slaughtered.
Well, you were on the receiving end of one of my practice games for last year where I had the turn 3 win.
I hate it. I'll play Master Mold, no problem. I don't like Thor.
I hear you. I like Thor. But I hear you. It can win against a Master Mold, but only if a Master Mold has a misstep. Yeah. Right? So, and that's what I think the difference is between a card that's overpowered and a card that is strong. If the card that is overpowered really can't be stopped, then it's overpowered and that's a problem. Thor can be stopped. There's ways to stop Thor. Master Mold, it's very difficult to stop that card.
Well, you could stop Wedfielded.
You can, but there's also lots of ways to remove dice that are not when fielded right now. Right? There's when attacks. There's when KO'd. There's lots of things that you can do. So, but yeah, I hear you. Thor is powerful. It is a powerful card. And if Master Mold was banned, let's just say, we'll make some speculation. If Master Mold is banned and Rare Sinister and Dark Phoenix are not banned, the next thing that's going to be super powerful is going to be Thor and Barry Allen.
Yep.
So let me read Barry Allen. So Barry Allen is a rare from Superman Kryptonite Crisis, and it says Master of the Speed Force, and it says when Barry Allen attacks, each attacking character die gets +1 attack and +1 defense for each of your other attacking character dice. And it has a global on it. Once per turn, pay fist. If you purchased a die and fielded a character die this turn, prep a die from your bag. So a lot of qualifiers on that prep, but it does have built-in prep. And it's a 7 cost. And between Dark Phoenix and Rare Sinister, super easy to get to a 7 cost.
Yep.
So that one will definitely move to the top if Master Mold is banned and the other cards are still in play.
Yep.
Along with Thor.
Yeah, but I think, the thing is, I don't know if they would ban anything. Because I feel like we have more now with Secret Wars.
Like more tools.
More tools to reroll out stuff. Take a chance at rerolling it. You still have your spin outs and all that stuff. It just becomes a little harder because now you have to pivot to doing that stuff just to get rid of your opponent's things. But that's the only way I see they may not ban them.
So I agree with you, Kim. There are more tools now with Secret Wars in the meta than we had before Secret Wars launched. And I think the big one that we have to talk about is the Distraction Global.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's one of the big ones that we did not have in the meta in the last go round, which is pay a mask, remove target attacking character die from combat. But you need a heck of a lot of masks against all those Sentinel tokens, Kim.
Yeah, but you don't stop it when Master Mold attacks. It doesn't stop that.
No, I think we have been talking all of this time and we haven't actually said what Master Mold does.
When fielded, when Master Mold attacks, when Master Mold is KO'd, place a Sentinel token with 5A, 5D into the field zone.
So yes. So all of those things happen and you have the ability to trigger your own attack step. You have your ability to KO your Master Mold on command. It is really easy to get an army of Sentinels super fast.
Yeah.
So yes. So Distraction is a good tool. right? But you need a mask for every one of those dice to push it back. And there's also it hasn't been a ton of play lately because there hasn't been distraction, but I think the other tool that we have is the Gladiator Global / the Hawkman Global, because they're the same. Pay a fist when you attack. Your character dice can't be the target of action dice or global abilities until end of turn. So that's a global that happens out of order when you're playing the game. It happens when the attack step happens. So you say, I'm going to declare an attack and pay a fist so that you can't target my action dice. So if I have that global and I attack, then distraction does nothing because you can't target my dice anymore.
No, so you can't push it back or anything like that.
For the cost of a fist. Now, the other tool that we have to maybe help with some of this is the new Pirate Broadcast Global. It's a reprint. I know you do, Kim. I know you. Important piece
it's not I hate it. It just becomes a game of, all right, I'm going to use it. No, I'm going to use it. Then I'm going to use it.
And who's going to turn it off first?
Right.
So the global says, pay 1, target global ability cannot be used until the start of your next turn. Use this global ability only once per turn.
Which was the Blackbird Global.
It was from X-Men First Class. So that global exists, which means I can turn off distraction. I can turn off Gladiator. Or I can turn off its own global. I can use that pay 1 generic to turn off its own global so that you can't use it. Right? So there's a lot of global stuff going on in the meta right now. And then the action die itself is also good because it cancels any persistent global ability effects. Neither player may use global abilities until end of turn. And then you can prep a die from your bag for a 3 cost. So it is a really good action die.
Yeah.
So yes, we have distraction, but we can turn distraction off with Pirate Broadcast. Yes, we have Gladiator / Hawkman, but yes, we can turn that off with Pirate Broadcast. So
put it all on your team.
I'm just saying, you know, I don't know how much distraction is actually going to help. What other stuff did we get in Secret Wars that we haven't had a ton of lately, Kim? Can you think of anything?
Wait, that we haven't had a ton of?
Yeah.
That we got in Secret Wars?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I'm going blank. Should I know this?
Well, there's 2 things, probably. One of them's in our sheet.
The force block?
Yes.
I was going to say that one, but I'm like, oh. Which came back, yes.
Yeah. So force block is back. We haven't had that for a while. Similar to distraction, right? So you can force something to block when you're attacking so that you can remove it or get rid of it or what have you. Again, you've got well, I guess Pirate Broadcast, you could turn the global off. I wouldn't worry so much about Gladiator or Hawkman with a force block because you're forcing your opponent to block, so it's on your turn. Your dice are not being targeted, so everything's good there. So force block is there. The other thing I was thinking of, and it sort of ties in well with force block, Kim, which is deadly.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a few characters with the deadly ability in Secret Wars. I guess there's some from before that too. I think there was some in Dark Phoenix that had deadly, and deadly says when this character has been engaged at the end of turn, KO it. So that's another way to remove things. The other control I was thinking of was like some new characters that we got. So there's which Spider-Gwen is it, Kim, that when you field it does 5 damage?
Oh, is that the uncommon one?
Yeah.
Oh, I have it right here, actually. Yes, the uncommon one. When fielded, deal 5 damage to target character die, and she can't attack the turn that she was fielded.
Which is fine.
For a 3 cost.
Yeah. So 5 damage will KO a Sentinel token. It will KO a level 1 Master Mold. Right? Because Master Mold's I think a 1/5/5 on his lowest level. I think.
Yes, 5/5.
Yeah. So you can KO that. But again, it's a 3-cost die to KO one thing when fielded, and then it has to sit in your field for at least a turn unless you can KO it yourself. But I think that Spider Gwen is really good, and I think that you'll see a lot of that. And I think it pairs really well with the Molecule Man, the super rare, which we talked about in a previous episode. Because she is Spider affiliated, and Molecule Man super rare says while Molecule Man is active, your Spider affiliated characters cost 1 less to field, cost 1 less to purchase, and return to the field zone after they deal combat damage to your opponent. So that would mean she becomes a 2-cost instead of a 3-cost when Molecule Man's active. She already costs 0 to field, so that's not a problem because she's 0 to field across the board. They're returning to the field zone after they deal combat damage to you. I mean, that could be handy so you could block next turn and then KO it after that. But that could be a good combo, which we talked about in our draft. And I think there's an opportunity for that to be comboed during Constructed as well.
Yeah. You just have to get rid of their field if they're building one.
Yeah. Like, I'd love to see the return of something like Seething Corruption and something that dealt damage to the whole field. I don't think we've had anything like that in a while, but we used to have a couple of things that you could do that would deal 1 damage to the field when they were 1 damage across the board when fielded, or 2 damage across the board when fielded. The Songbird was the 2 damage. I don't remember what the 1 damage was. The 1 damage might have been Grey Hunter from Warhammer. When KO'd, deal 1 damage to all your opponents. You KO him. You've got a Seething Corruption in play that says when a character die takes damage, KO it. So you put Seething Corruption in play, you KO your Grey Hunter, your opponent's team takes 1 damage, and then they all get KO'd. And then, like, if you had something like that, then I think Master Mold would be potentially less of a threat because it'd be easier to clear the field.
Just wipe their board. Yeah.
But we don't have a board wipe right now. Unless you count, I don't know if we count this, Cosmic Cube. No, that's not it. What's the one? Infinity Gauntlet.
Yes. Basic action?
Yeah. The Infinity Gauntlet, epic basic action, which says re-roll all character dice.
Yeah. Includes yours, but
50% chance of stuff going away, right?
True.
So that could conceivably be close to a board wipe or definitely a board reduction, but you can't re-roll a token, Kim.
Nope.
So all those Sentinels are just gonna hang out and just wait for your re-rolling to finish, and then just walk across there and hurt you because all you need is 4 unblocked Sentinels and you win the game.
Yeah. Again, you'll have to concentrate on like force. Attacking with like a deadly character, forcing them to a block, but then will they really use their tokens, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't specifically say which character or token would block, right? It's just someone must block.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you only blocked with one thing, then you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are some changes, right? We've got Distraction, we've got Pirate Broadcast, we have Force Block, we have more Deadly. Distraction could also allow potentially for while active-y type abilities to maybe make a return. Because one of the challenges we had previously is that because you had a force attack, anything you didn't want in the field, you just said that has to attack, and you either KO'd it or let it through and got it out of the field, right?
Right.
Distraction allows you to say, oh, you force that to attack? Okay, well, I don't want it to attack, so I'll attack with it, and then I'll use my Distraction Global to pull it back. So it's just, it changes things.
Yeah.
But you have the ability, you save the masks, if you can build a mask-based strategy, perhaps. Like, I haven't dug deep into this yet, but maybe there's a way that you can generate a whole lot of masks and have enough masks to distract and keep your control pieces in play.
1-cost Harleys and hope they roll on double.
That's a thing you could do.
Yeah.
So,
but you gotta hope it rolls on double.
So maybe there's potential for some of the other cards to come back and something control based, like, you don't really have a lot of protection against some of the spin downs and rollouts, but there are ways to stop when fielded, and there are ways to stop when attacks, or a way to stop when attacks, which is super rare Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You want to read that one, Kim?
Super rare Wonder Woman. Oh yeah, hardly ever see anybody play this one. So legendary, 6 cost. When fielded, spin target character die to an energy face, and you may deal 2 damage to target character die. While Wonder Woman is active, ignore opposing when fielded and when attacks abilities.
Yep. Yeah, I know some people were testing with her last year before Memphis, but Master Mold was just so fast, and Thor was fast, and Barry was fast, that it didn't really give you time to set up that type of control. But now, with some of the other tools in place, like Distraction, you might be able to set that up and maybe have a little bit more control over the board state. There's also one that stops when fielded that is not Wonder Woman, which is the Angela from Infinity Gauntlet. Angela uncommon. While Angela is active, ignore your opponent's when fielded abilities.
And 4 cost?
4 cost bold, yeah. It means you can't play the really good one, which is while she's active, your character dice gain infiltrate. But,
Yeah. If you could build a control team, the only problem is how are you going to win? If you're if you're only concentrating on trying to get rid of your opponent's stuff, but
Colossus.
Yeah.
Colossus Piotr, 6 cost fist from Dark Phoenix Saga. While Colossus is active at the end of your turn, each of your level 2 or level 3 character dice deal your opponent 2 damage.
I love that card.
So you love that card, Kim.
Yeah, I know.
But you hate Thor.
Yeah, I know. Because I don't know. I don't know what it
when
is.
Fielded in Colossus while they're active. I know you love it, but
I don't know why I don't like Thor.
Okay.
Maybe I need to be beat by. I've been beaten by Colossus before, and I didn't feel the hate as much as I hate Thor for some reason.
It is a little bit harder to set up because sidekicks, of course, don't have a level 2 or level 3 side, so you have to actually have characters. So maybe that's why it doesn't feel quite so bad.
Yeah, because you have to, and then you have to land them on level 2 or 3 too. So
or spin them up.
Then but then you're spending to try to spin up too, right? So,
yeah. But with Distraction, with the global for Distraction, maybe you have the ability to make a Colossus team work.
Yeah, so there you go. We haven't really talked about. Did we talk about Colossus? I don't remember. I don't think we had him. Yeah, we did.
We just did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that we could do. Let's talk about other. I'm calling them medium bads, as opposed to the big bads. So
Colossus.
we talked about Colossus. We just talked about Molecule Man.
Yep.
So Jubilee, which came from Dark Phoenix Saga. Jubilee is the super rare, and she's got a pretty good win condition built in. So she's got X-Men Field Leader, 4 cost Bolt. While she's active, when you field a character die, she deals 1 damage to your opponent and 1 damage to target character die, which is actually really good. 1 damage will take out a sidekick, and 1 damage to your opponent is pretty good. It's a little bit of ping damage.
Paper cut, yeah.
But it gets there. 20 dice is not that hard to field, especially with all the sidekick fielding globals we have access to. There's Harley Quinn. There wasn't a lot of Harley Quinn being played, but she's really good. Gang of Harleys, 5 cost mask. While Harley Quinn is active, your sidekick dice gain +1 attack, +1 defense, and when fielded, deal 2 damage to target character die. So definitely there's some synergy there with Harley, and then throw a Batman on your team. So you have the Batman global, which is pay 2 masks and each player fields 2 sidekicks from their use pile. So Harley's there. And then I think from Secret Wars, and I've been playing around with a little bit of this one, and I think you have as well, Kim.
Yep, I actually really like this card.
So talk about it.
It's a better version of Thor, I think, because it's very similar, right? It's a
different version of Thor.
One difference to it.
There's 2 differences to it.
No, 1.
2.
1 is Thor gives you to the player. Apocalypse doesn't, but it has Overcrush.
Exactly. 2 differences.
Well, they cancel each other out. Apocalypse super rare. Wicked. That's supremacist. Supremacist. Yes, I thought it was Wicked super something. I read that. I thought that was. I thought it was SUPER. I'm like, wait, what word is that? 6 cost Overcrush, and then while Apocalypse is active, when you feel the character die, deal 2 damage to target character die.
Yeah,
and he has the global as. Yeah. What we talked about. Pay a bolt once per turn, KO one of your character dice, so the next die you purchase costs 2 less.
Yeah, I think the only difference between him and good old Thor Jorgensphere otherwise is I think the stats on Thor are slightly better, are they?
He's a 3/5 1/3/5 2/5/6 2/6/7. What's Thor?
Thor is 1/5/3 1/6/4 2/7/6. Yeah. So slightly higher on the attack side. Because there are, and we've talked about this on some of the previous episodes, the defense values on some of these dice have gotten quite strong. Like 6s and, 10s on Phoenix Force Cyclops. Takes a while to KO that thing.
Yeah.
So the Overcrush is maybe not quite as impactful. But if you force block stuff or if you prevent things from blocking, because there are things that you can use to, target character that I can't block this turn. What is the spot that does that when he
the
energizes? Yeah. From Infinity Gauntlet.
Groot does it when he's fielded.
And then there's Namor from the new set that says if you choose to block, you have to pay 3 life.
Yep.
So there's ways, but yeah. So I think Apocalypse, and then we've already talked about Super Molecule Man. So I think there's a couple of options there. I think Secret Wars has a lot of really good tools, but I don't know that it has a ton of
win conditions,
meta level win conditions.
Yeah,
but I think it has a lot of support. So, what other things would we like to see maybe have a chance, Kim, to win?
I don't know. You have a few on this list.
I do.
I've actually never played with any of these except for Wally West.
So Wally West, I want to see work. So, and I don't usually look at the DC sets.
Wally West is the we're talking
rare.
about the super rare one, which is a 4 cost Speed Force conduit. Oh my gosh, conduit. While Wally West is active, you get a second attack step during your turn. Only Wally West character dice can attack during your second attack step. So
I feel like there's something here.
Yeah, you just have to have him survive. And he's a 1/3/3 2/4/4 2/5/5. So he is a little bit easy to KO if they have big stuff on the other side.
Especially like with the Spider-Gwen, right? When fielded, deal 5 damage.
Yeah.
So, but I still feel like there's something there. I feel like there's something there with Recruit. Recruit being when a die does damage, you recruit something from your use pile prep area or reserve pool that matches the die type. So I think there's something there. So Wally West Recruit, maybe. I'm working on it. We'll see. There's the Black Panther Super Rare.
Which
alternate
is the
win condition.
Yep. You have to attack with 6 or more or something. Different ones though. That's the one, but I'll read it.
Yeah.
I can't spell. Yes. While Black Panther is active, if you attack with 6 or more different Fantastic Four affiliated characters, you win the game. And I believe there is that much in the game.
There is. Yep.
Yes. And you have to keep them there.
They just have to attack.
Yeah, but you have to keep them in the field without your opponent trying to do anything to.
So you have Black Panther, Invisible Woman, Molecule Man, Mr. Fantastic, Namor, and Thing. So there are exactly 6 in set.
Yeah.
So it's doable. Is it easy? No. Would it be super fun if it happened? Yes.
Yeah. Has anybody played it yet? Not that I know of.
Well, there hasn't been a tournament yet.
No, I mean like just me watching people play, right? So
there is the uncommon Phoenix Force Cyclops. Fire of Love, 6-cost bolt. When Phoenix Force Cyclops is dealt combat damage, deal that much damage to target opponent. This is very similar to what we saw in the rare Dark Phoenix in the Dark Phoenix Saga, but that was a 7-cost. When an opposing character die damages Dark Phoenix, she deals that much damage to each opponent. So similar wording, similar effect. The difference is that the Dark Phoenix Global, pay a bolt and KO one of your character dice. The next die you purchase this turn costs 2 less to a minimum of 1, would allow you to KO the die that's blocking Dark Phoenix so she doesn't take any damage, right?
Right.
You can do that in the global window. You don't have that global on Phoenix Force Cyclops, so maybe, but Apocalypse Global still exists. Dark Phoenix Global technically still exists because it hasn't been banned yet, so it's probably going to be around unless they ban it. So it may or may not be an effective condition, but it's worth considering. And then the other one,
Hellfire Gala.
Yeah. Want to read that one?
That'd
Kim?
be interesting. That would be interesting. Yeah. Hellfire Gala. This is a basic action card. 6 cost. Roll 2 dice from your bag. Each player feels 3 sidekicks dice from their used pile. If there are 16 or more dice in the field zone, win the game.
Mm-hmm. So there's options there.
Yeah.
And maybe there's other things too that we haven't thought of, because we have certainly not, gone through this stuff with a fine-tooth comb. So let us know what you think what you'd like to see potentially have a chance, and how we could get there. So, So anyway, that's some of the stuff we think that we might see in Memphis from a meta perspective. We might see more control. We're definitely going to see, unless they ban it, we're going to probably see Master Mold. We're going to see Thor. We're going to see Barry Allen. We're going to see some people trying some new stuff like Apocalypse and Jubilee and Harley Quinn and who knows what else, right? So,
yeah. Who else knows what combo came out that?
Yeah. So, but I would encourage folks to be creative. Even if Master Mold doesn't get banned, try something different. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
So, anything to add there, Kim, on the meta chat?
No. Good.
Okay. So should we pop into coming events?
Sure. UKGE. You actually wrote it for me this time. I don't have to ask you when it is. It's happening June 2nd to 4th. So if you're in the UK, sign up. And I believe Chris posted some really cool sleeves. So
there's some super cool prizing.
Yeah. So definitely get yourself out there. 2-team takedown starts May 29th. So if you haven't signed up, sign up, build your teams. And this is all out modern. So if you want to test some of those teams, I know there's a little restriction on your team builds for 2-team takedown because you can't have the same cards on both teams. But it is a chance for you to test some teams out prior to going to Indianapolis. So you can always build a team to what you want to, a modern team, and then build the other one, whatever, right? So there's your chance to test some anything that we talked about today. And Gen Con is happening August 3rd to 6th, which will be Worlds for Dice Masters in Indianapolis. No Memphis. Wah, wah, wah.
Unless you want to go play HeroClix.
Unless you want to go learn to play HeroClix.
Or Onslaught.
You can totally do that. Or Onslaught. And then weekly Dice Arena happens every Tuesdays at 9 o'clock Eastern.
Cool. So
now to the heavy dice bag.
We have a heavy dice bag. We got quite a lot of feedback on our Dazzler episode, so huge thanks to everyone who took some time to share some thoughts with us. We're going to start with an email from our friend Andy May and recent as well as past guest Andy May, who shared with us the Wikipedia link with the information for the Southdale Center, the oldest shopping mall in the United States, as he shared with us on the episode. He said, "I know that you verified this is not a made-up fact, but I felt I should add some basis. Southdale Center Shopping Center Southdale Center is a shopping mall located in Edna, Minnesota, a suburb of the Twin Cities. It opened in 1956 and is both the first and the oldest fully enclosed climate-controlled shopping mall in the United States. So there you go. We will drop the Wikipedia link in the show notes for you. Andy continues, I am a big fan of the Dazzler comics. Her original solo series run was outstanding. For the most part, it's really well written. I was hoping we'd see her in the Dark Phoenix set since she was important during the setup of the saga. Of course, Mastermind was the most important character in that set, and where's he? Always fun to listen to the episodes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Andy. That is a good point. When I read the Dark Phoenix comics, Mastermind was like super important, and he wasn't even in the set, so that was weird. But there we go. We also heard from Rob of Dice Station Zebra fame, and he says, I enjoyed the latest podcast featuring a spotlight on Dazzler. I just wanted to comment on the creation of her character by sharing that as a product of the late 70s, early 80s, she was created as a disco queen. Well, that's super cool. Allegedly, there was a collaboration between Marvel Comics and disco label Casablanca Records, where Marvel would create the character and Casablanca would produce a singer. The apparent goal was to have an animated special with music, but Casablanca did not hold up their side of the project, so only a comic book was produced. As the crashing waves of disco receded back into the ocean, Dazzler was later tweaked as more of a generic pop singer, appearing occasionally in X-Men books. More recently, she can be found alongside her X-Men teammates fighting a war against vampires, looking hella cool while roller skating through pools of vampire blood. Make that movie, Marvel, LOL. As always, thanks for the awesome podcast and keep rolling dice. Rob sent me a picture of that, of Dazzler roller skating through this like pool of blood, and it was really cool. It would make a super cool Dice Masters card. So cool art.
Yeah, art that was cool.
Okay, continuing on our Dazzler. Those both came through email to dmNorthTV@dm-north.com. Continuing on to our youtube.com/dmNorthTV, we heard from
Donnie,
everyone's favorite Donnie, and he said the only thing I remember about Dazzler was her band was like an opening act for Mojo's Battle Arena show thing. I have not had a chance to play her yet, but I'm looking forward to trying all the versions of her out. He said, my kids love Muppet Babies. I forgot about Muppet Babies. This is me adding a Dazzle, and he put a bunch of like fireworky / I don't know, like TNT emojis into his comment. In reference to my last comment, I do love you guys too, not just the content, but I'm not going to write you a love song because you ask for it or because you need to see it. Or you need it, you see. So there you go. But thanks, Donnie, for listening. We really appreciate having your comments and super happy to have you back with us after a few episodes away. Then we heard from Jackalope Spam in our dmNorthTV podcast channel on dmNorthTV Discord. He says, I remember reading the A-Force series in Secret Wars. I just don't remember much of what happened. And then he included a link of the reading order for Secret Wars. And he said, to be fair, there's a lot that went on in Secret Wars and before it. So we can link that in the show notes. And then he also sent a message through a direct message. He added me. And he said, kind of shocked your Dazzler episode didn't include any mention of pairing her with Super Rare Molecule Man. He's the first one I think of now with Spider Friends in the mix. That affiliation should be very strong in single affiliation now, even if #Rare Spider-Man Forever is not Spider Friends affiliated. I think someone said he was. What a train wreck had sarcasm. Which is a point, because I got really excited about pairing Super Rare Molecule Man with #Rare Spider-Man Forever, and Rare Spider-Man Forever does not have an affiliation, Kim.
There we go.
So there you go. And then finally, we heard from Chris, and he reached out to us via Facebook Messenger. Chris Williams from the Ministry of Dice. And in response to me promising to read all of his messages out in future, he said, I don't know, reading out my whole message could be a dangerous prospect a lot of the time. So yeah, super, super great to hear from everyone, and really appreciate everyone who took the time to share their thoughts with us. And we learned a lot, Kim. And it sounds like we didn't train wreck this episode. And
no.
And you know why? because we got the research from an expert. So huge thanks to listener and friend of the podcast and friend of ours, Oh No, It's Red Mage, who provided us all of the research and support for that episode. So thank you, Red Mage, and thank you everyone for all of your thoughts. And on that note, I think that's all we have for tonight.
Yeah.
It was a good one, I think.
Yeah, we one of our longest ones. Look at us.
You can let us know if you think it was a good one or not. In all of the following places. So you can reach out to us by email, like Rob and Andy did, at triple-d-podcast@dm-north.com. You can find us on YouTube, like Donnie did, at youtube.com/dmNorthTV. You can find us on all the socials, which include Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at dmNorthTV. You can find us on our Discord channel at dmNorthTV, and you can also at us on Discord. Kim is at SuperK, and I am at JoceStitch, JOCE Stitch. So until next time, on a double on dice.